Hi everyone, this is Meredith Root, and welcome to the Afternoon Snack Podcast, brought to you by Tactic Nutrition.
Hi, I'm Alex Parker, owner of Tactic Nutrition, former lawyer, CrossFit Games athlete, turned health and fitness geek.
I'm also into health and nutrition, a more recent CrossFit Games athlete, co-owner of Tactic Nutrition, and former engineer. We are here to have fun, engaging conversation about some of our favorite topics, including nutrition, health, coaching, motivation, and of course, CrossFit.
Our goal is to give you something to think and talk about and hopefully make you laugh along the way.
Well, it's officially official.
Ivy's going to be a mommy?
Oh.
We have a wedding venue?
Also no.
You have a better tan than me?
Yeah, you nailed it. That's it. I'm beating Alex on the suntan. No, I'm not. Anyone who knows me knows that's absolutely not only incorrect, but impossible.
I'm going to tell everyone about my $1 million idea later.
Why don't you tell them now?
Okay. There needs to be a sunscreen that when you apply it, it comes out blue or green or some other like aggressive color. So when you apply it to your skin, you can see where you've applied it and where you haven't applied it. And then it fades in color within however many minutes, 3, 4.
Is that so you don't end up like with
Yes.
these random...
You gave me that idea.
Because I have this right now spot on the front of my shoulder / kind of in my armpit.
Yeah, which is a common spot that you've missed.
Clearly missed.
And then right above like...
My
you
where
wore
I
like...
didn't get it quite low enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I wore a lower cut bathing suit than I've been wearing. Yeah, I have a real time with sunscreen.
You do. You really don't take the time. You're like, you know when people are full and they rub their bellies? That's how you apply sunscreen.
That's not true. And I try to like exclusively use lotion because I know that lotion coverage is better for me than like spray. Spray, I'm never gonna do a good job with spray.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think that's a good idea. I would buy it for sure because like...
Think about the number of parents who would buy it for their kids.
Oh, for sure.
It's weird that hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll get in touch with my polymer science.
Yes, thank you.
Polymer science friends, chemists and whatnot. We'll get on it. $1 million idea.
Okay, but what's official?
Oh, well, you're officially doing the Chicago Marathon, which has been, I mean, like, I think it's been official, but you, like, kind of came out with it yesterday.
Yeah, I wanted to do some preliminary training to make sure that I was, like, actually good for it from, like, an injury standpoint before I announced it and started fundraising.
And do you think, given the number of visits recently with the PT, that you feel like you're good for it? Or is the weekly PT visit just going to have to be an ongoing?
I think it's going to have to be an ongoing thing. But he seems confident in me.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, he hasn't said, like, you probably shouldn't do that. I haven't asked him, but he hasn't said that.
But he's also not the type. Like, he's not that PT.
No, he's the PT that probably likes to make money. So he's like, yeah, do it.
Definitely train for a marathon. Go for it. I will be here.
Yeah, just make sure you book an appointment next week.
Yeah. I don't know. He's good. I went to him when my back was having issues, and now it's not having issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you know, it's like a 3 out of 10. It was like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm running Chicago Marathon. It's October 10th. And I'm fundraising for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, doing it with Team in Training, which I've done before. Back in 2012, I ran San Francisco, and I did it with my dad and my mom. We were a team, and we actually raised close to $90,000 when we did it back then. But like our story was fresher, and it was quite sad, and so I don't even know how we raised that much money, but we did, and that was a great experience. And we went they have like a Team in Training dinner the night before the marathon, and they have guest speakers, and there was a few guest speakers that were cancer survivors who had survived based on treatment that was research, that the research was funded by Team in Training, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So it's kind of cool that like your efforts, like you saw them, you know, like it's going directly to helping people who, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to a disease that you've lost, family members to.
I think a lot of people are familiar with the concept of donating money to like research organizations, like Barbells for Boobs. They do a lot
but
of
like you
fundraising.
actually see it.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. Is like it's an abstract concept. Like I give my money to this organization, they give it to, like it trickles down and makes its way into like, research grants and experimental therapies. But it's like, I don't think it's simple for people to make the connection between their dollar and like what that actually, like what the end result can be. And the end result can be like, if it's funding like experimental treatment or like kind of cutting edge R&D, like the end result is that you're saving lives potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, that was cool to hear. I mean, I thought so.
So like, I just did a YouTube video if you want to watch it. It's on my day of eating and then some of my running training. But I mentioned in there that I lost my sister. She was 20 and my grandma. So my sister was diagnosed with leukemia. And then a few months later, my grandma got diagnosed with it. But my grandma didn't undergo any treatment because she was like 80. And at that point, I mean, an 80-year-old can't really take the aggressive like chemotherapy that's required. So she kind of just let it play out. And then she ended up passing away a few months later on my sister's birthday, June 29th. And it was really, I mean, there was a sense of relief, like, when somebody's old and suffering. But it's crazy how she went from being so healthy to so like weak and so quickly. And then of course losing her on my sister's birthday was really upsetting. And then it was 17 days later, my sister was kind of like in the clear and she got like an infection and that was really bad. And she ended up not making it. So it's been almost 10 years. Coming up on the anniversaries. But anyways, I'm doing the marathon in their honor. And it's been a while since I've done anything to really remember them. And so it's like, as much as it's fun to like train and run, do something physical and do marathon, it's like, it's a no-brainer to do it for team and training. Do it with team and training. And then I posted about it. If you do want to donate, the link is in my bio on Instagram, AA Parker 1. But I posted about it and basically just why I'm doing it and some statistics on how frequently people are diagnosed with blood cancers. And I raised a ton of money already yesterday. And as nice as it is to like raise money for something, like selfishly, the feeling of knowing that people are supporting the cause and supporting me, supporting the cause is like, it was very touching. Like some people that I hadn't heard from for years ago, like when I used to play golf competitively or like old high school friends or my sister's old high school friends, like donating. It was just really touching to like hear from them and kind of know that they're supporting me. So I'm really, really excited to run and raise more money. So if you want to donate, link is in bio.
Yeah, we'll get the link in the show notes.
Yeah. But when I did it in 2012, like I said, so my dad was a big marathon runner, and then my sister wanted to, she was a runner, and she was like, I'm going to do a marathon, and when I'm better, I'm going to do team and training San Francisco, or no, she wasn't going to do team, she was just going to do San Francisco, and the reason why is because it's a Nike women's marathon, and the big thing about that marathon is they give you, instead of a medal when you cross the finish line, you get a Tiffany's necklace that's designed for the marathon. So it's like a very tiny necklace medal. And you get it given to you by firefighters, like dressed in uniform. And she just thought that was the coolest. And she was a big Tiffany's fan. She was very like, she was a princess. But so then when she passed away, my dad and I were like, I think we should do this. And I had been running and he was obviously running. So we did it together. And then of course my mom was like, well, now I have to do it. So she joined in. My dad and I actually ran the marathon together, and I did it in like 3:27, which was like 30 minutes faster than what originally I said my goal was going to be. he was like, I'm not running a 4-hour marathon. Like, we have to go faster. So we did. It was quite painful. And then my mom was a couple hours behind us. She was really, talk about like dealing with injuries through training. It was like one thing after another. Her feet were a big issue, and you know how feet are. They affect everything. So I'm doing this one solo, but I think they'll come watch.
Yeah, I think so. And like, Chicago's a cool city. It's a good reason to go.
Well, originally I was thinking Calgary, because the Calgary Marathon's in September, and I'm like, wait, if I'm going to run a marathon, like, why wouldn't I go somewhere cool?
Yeah.
Take advantage.
Yeah.
And I've only heard good things about Chicago, so.
I think the course is really good. But what goes through your mind when you like decided, or like what went through your mind when you decided like, yes, I'm going to do a marathon again?
Well, as everyone knows, like I've kind of been taking a step away from competitive CrossFit, just with time, just being older and just getting out of the sport a little, taking a step away. And I started running this winter, 2 winters ago. So when COVID hit, I was like, I asked my coach, can you please program some running? So I started running a bit more. I've always ran. Like I've really loved it since university. I started getting into it. And I had done a couple halves and then that marathon. But I kind of lost touch with it when I started getting good at CrossFit, because like CrossFit and running aren't the greatest match. And so we started running, and I'm like, I kind of want to train for something. I'm like, what if I just did a marathon? But like I still had one foot kind of in the CrossFit, and I was hopefully going to train for semifinals and maybe consider doing a half after that. But then when I didn't qualify for semis, I thought, what better time than now? So that's how I came to the decision.
Was there like equal parts excitement and nerves, or like what's the general feeling when you like decide to do something that's kind of a great deviation from what you have been doing and will likely have an impact on like your fitness as a CrossFit athlete, at least in the short term?
Yeah. Originally, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to snatch as much as I can right now. I'm going to lose some strength. But at the same time, it's like, well, who cares? Like if I lose 15 pounds off my snatch, no one cares. And honestly, I kind of need something to pull me all the way out of CrossFit at this point, because I do still have one foot in the door. Like even if I'm not doing it competitively, I'm still going to be pretty good. And so there's always going to be that pull to like sign up for competitions, or maybe I'll just do the open, maybe I will. But I kind of needed something to just distract myself away from like the fact that I am still good, but not really that good at CrossFit. I think if anything, I'm more nervous about actually running the marathon. It's a very, very, very painful experience.
When did the wall come? Like the last marathon you ran, what was the point when you were like, this is bad? Okay. Well,
I'm going to tell you a bit of a backstory. So when I was training, we used my mom pulled this out. It was her old running program from when she did, I think, the Victoria Marathon like years before. And it was so old that like the sheet was yellow, and had been pulled out of a running magazine, like Runner's World.
Yeah.
It was a Runner's World like marathon training program. And it was a sheet of paper, and it had yellowed. That's how old it was. And my dad and I followed that to a T. And I did some like CrossFit. I think I was playing a little bit of soccer back then too. And when we were doing the distances, like I didn't have like a Garmin or a pace. I was just like, I mapped the route and I'm like, hey, this is, 20K or whatever. Didn't have any real idea of like what our pace was. But then when we got into the longer runs, I was like, I think I can, that was kind of a 4-hour pace. Like, I think we can run it in sub 4. And my dad kind of just like, didn't even, like, he just kind of scoffed. For some context, he used to be his fastest marathon was like a 2:31. So he's obviously a great runner. But he's also at that point was 61, I think. So he's obviously past his prime. So we were sitting around the dinner table. We went out for pasta the night before.
Of course.
And we said, well, we need to pace this out. Like I want to have like numbers written down so we know how fast we're going. Cause all I had back then was a Timex, but you could see the mile markers on the the course. So you kind of had an idea. I was like,
wait. So you're making 30-minute pace changes the night before the marathon.
yeah,
Just so everybody.
yes.
Okay.
So the goal was 4 hours, and my dad was like, yeah, no, I'm not running a 4-hour marathon. Like, don't be ridiculous. We can run faster than that. And I was like, okay, so 3:45 is this pace. Like, we're doing all the math. Like I was doing all my calculations in miles back then. So it was like an 8 something pace. And I was like, okay, 3:30 is this pace. And we started out, it was like, hey, we're going to go for sub 30, 3:30. We started out, and you always feel amazing. But like, I kept saying to my dad, like, we're going too fast. We're going too fast, because we were. And I was like kind of getting worried. But then at the half marathon point, I felt amazing. My dad would kind of ask me, like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I feel great. I feel so good. And it's so cool. Like, San Francisco, there's so many people wearing those purple team and training shirts. Like, there's so much hype and just cheering. And especially you wearing these purple shirts, like, people just love it. And it's just a great feeling. You feel like very energized, and there's a lot of action on the course. You don't even really feel like you're running.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, kind of the miles go by, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden, 5 miles to go, I felt horrible. I think it was like the next time my dad was like, how are you feeling? And I said, not good. And then the last like 4 miles, I think I ran directly behind him and was just looking at his shoes. Like, and all in my head, I was just like, keep going, like over and over and over and over again for 4 miles. Like, I can't even describe to you how bad it was. Like, I was tired, but it was like my hips, my back. Like, you couldn't even stop to like drink water, because if you stopped, like, starting back up was like really painful. It was like you became numb to it, but then you stopped and it felt so good that starting back was really bad.
Yeah, that's why, like, they say you should never stop. Don't come to a stop.
No.
Because...
yeah, you just kind of have to keep trugging. And then as we approached the finish line, my dad let me pass him to finish before him. Very gentlemanlike of him.
But what's the point of that?
I don't know.
Just because it was like your first marathon?
I don't know. He just was like, go ahead.
Yeah, that's nice. I didn't know that part of the story.
Mm-hmm. And then a couple hours, literally, I think a couple hours later, my mom came through, and because we were team in training, there was a special tent where you could get food, because I'm pretty sure when she came through, all of the food was gone. You know, when you go through and you get like bananas.
Yeah.
But I think if not for team in training, I don't think she would have done that. So it really helped push her.
Yeah.
But there were people out there walking the course for team in training. Like,
oh yeah,
it was incredible.
Definitely.
It was really incredible.
Yeah.
And as soon as I crossed the finish line, I turned to my dad and said, never again. I'm never running a marathon again.
Look at you now.
I was actually kind of mad. I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. And then like half an hour later, I was like, well, maybe.
I would think about maybe in like 10 years.
Yeah. That was great. So yeah, I'm doing it again.
It's crazy how people used to run and train without the like constant feedback of a running watch, you know, because now, and like, you know, because you have one and I have one, even on shorter like 5K, 10K training runs, you know, you're kind of like every few minutes glance down at it to make sure you're running the right pace. Like, yep. Okay. You know,
it's huge. Like I just got that Garmin about last winter. You got it for me. And it's with OPT programming for me, Mike, the training is very different this time around. Like, you still have the longer runs that build, but there's more speed work, which I've never really done any speed work. And not like sprints, but like up tempo kilometers and just faster paces.
Yeah.
Like marathon speed pace. But the longer runs are a bit slower than goal marathon pace.
As they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been cool to have that feedback. And then also being able to like see the data when I come back, like, oh, what was my heart rate? Why was that hard today?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all stuff you can kind of feel, but it's kind of cool to see it.
Yeah. It's generally like your heart rate. If you're like, that was a bigger effort. Like my RPE was up. Like,
yeah.
You can tell that when you look at the heart rate. but I think that'd be great. I'm going full support mode on that one. Full sag.
Yeah, but you're running your own little race.
Well, yeah, that's a whole... I feel like such a schmuck now because, like, you tell that story and I'm like, well, I'm doing this and this, you know, for me. But it's fine. There aren't any...
Well, you should tell your backstory, like why you're running a half.
Why?
Well, because the other race got canceled.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's the whole, like, the story, right? Like, I signed up for this duathlon.
Supposed to be like this weekend, I think.
Yeah, actually, it was supposed to be this weekend. I signed up for this off-road duathlon that was like a 50-kilometer mountain bike at the Canmore Nordic Center, and then a 25-kilometer trail run. 2 different days, so it's not like technically a duathlon. So you do like the mountain bike leg, 50K on Saturday, and then the 25K trail run on Sunday. And 25K, that's a little longer than a half marathon. It's like 4 kilometers longer. So I was looking forward to that. I've never done anything like that. I haven't really done a lot of trail running. And then when I was in North Carolina, I was planning on doing some riding and I was doing a lot of running at that point, and saw that because of this is so silly now that when you think about it, because of the restrictions that went into place in Alberta, that put a limit on like outdoor gatherings or whatever, they canceled the event, or they sort of canceled it because they're like, we don't really know what's going on, but it doesn't seem like we're gonna like be able to do it. So they canceled the event again. They had to cancel it last year too. And then like now Alberta's like fully open. It's so stupid. But anyways, so I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. I thought about just like making my own duathlon and like going out and doing it, but that's kind of lame and like no one cares.
And then you're like, maybe I'll do the death race. And
so,
I think Mike was like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So somebody sent me
the half death race.
Someone sent me the Canadian death race thing, which is up in like Grand Prairie, which is apparently one of the harder like ultras, and you can do the full distance, which is like 100 kilometers, or you can do the half distance, which is like 42, which is still a marathon, which is kind of insane. Or you can do like a relay. And so I decided, well, I'll just do the half. But like in my head, I'm like half marathon, not even thinking that it was like, I mean, I obviously knew the distance. But that's like, you know, it takes probably double the amount of time as a marathon. So you can pretty much bank on like 7.5 to 8 hours easily for something like that. And you're doing 3 summits, and then descents, and like there's some water crossing. It's like bordering on like an adventure race.
There wasn't enough time to train.
Yeah, and I think that's what, like, it was one of those things where I wouldn't really know if I was in good enough shape to do it until I was doing it. And then then you're running a real risk of like getting hurt, which I didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. So I decided to pull the plug on that instead of trying to rope my friends into doing a relay. And then was just planning on doing the Calgary.
We're just going to make all the tactic coaches do it.
But actually, like that
it
was
like,
plan.
Hey, Lindsay will do it. Kat's going to do it. We'll rope Kendra in.
We'll get Jill to go.
Yeah.
We were just going to get...
we only needed 5, right?
Oh, yeah. So just pick your 5. But yeah, that didn't end up happening. So then I was just like, well, I'll run a half marathon and I'll just do it for speed. So I was planning on Calgary, and then Banff announced that they were moving theirs because they canceled. It's usually in June, and then they decided to move it to September, which was like the weekend before Calgary, I think. Banff is a way better course, and it's in Banff. Yeah. So now I'm doing the Banff half marathon for a speed PR, hopefully.
And you're doing an Olympic distance triathlon in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that was a last minute
spur
decision.
of the moment yesterday.
I signed up yesterday.
That'll be fun. I'll be cheering for you.
A friend's doing like a full, like an Ironman in a couple of months, and so she's just doing, I say friend, is a client. Usually all my stories when I say like, oh, I have this friend, like,
you can assume it's a client.
You can assume it's a client. Don't laugh because you're the same. So she was saying that she's...
My friend the other day was texting me, and she told me that she really thinks I'm a great person. Yeah. I mean, coach. Yeah, she's a client.
That's no big deal. But she said she was doing she had signed up for like an Olympic distance to practice with transitions. And I'm sure that I knew that, but I had forgotten it, or maybe I didn't know it. And she was like, you should do it. And the funny thing is, I was talking back before I had really decided what I was doing with the running. I was like, I would really like to do some more triathlons, like specifically Olympic distance, and then maybe a half at some point. And I had like kind of looked into Olympic distance around this area, but not really like enough research to sign up. So I don't really have the stuff to do it. And I was like, you know what? I will do it. It's on July 4th, best day of the year. That's an American joke. Is that why you're staring at me blankly?
No, I was going to tell you something after.
Okay.
There's
forget
going to
it.
be a Canada Party that I think we should go to.
Okay.
It's outdoors, barbecue.
Oh.
But
is that just on your mind?
It was. I was like, I'll tell Meredith after. Okay. But I thought, you know.
Why not now?
Yeah, but.
So I think the Olympic distance is really fun. It's like the newest distance. I think it was, obviously, it's the distance that is in the Olympics. But it's got a disproportionately long swim, which is why I think
Which is fun. Why I'm not doing it against you.
It's like a 1.5 kilometer swim, 40 kilometer bike, 10 kilometer run.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know, it's like a 4-hour thing. It'll be fun. I think everything's pretty well trained. Like we've been biking. Plus we're just kind of in biking shape all the time. And then like running, obviously a lot. And it's only a 10K. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be fun, and I don't really need to train the swim.
And like nutrition, you've got that dialed in.
Yeah. So yeah, Olympic distance in 3 weeks, and then half marathon in September.
Yeah.
For speed. I think it's I don't know what my goal is. Like a 1:34 would be pretty dang fast.
What's my PR? 1:35.
Yeah.
1:34 and change.
Something like that.
Yeah. So,
I'd like to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm very partial to running, and one thing I really like about it, I've always run, well, not always, not when I was a kid, but like I've gone for runs, and there's a lot of clarity that happens for me during runs. It's so cheesy to say, but like I don't listen to music, I don't listen to podcasts, nothing in my ears. I don't bring my phone, no technology, and I just run. Like I map my route before I go, so I know where I'm going. I'm just out there by myself. I used to run a lot with my dad, but now I don't even enjoy, like we don't run together very often. I just like being out there by myself. And even in law school, I used to go for like 5-mile runs every morning, and it just like, it was very calming. A lot of the stress that I had about school would become clear to me on that morning run. And it's something that's special because you can really do it with very minimal equipment, and you can do it anywhere. Like I think back to many years on vacation, and even like Mexico, when we stay in like all inclusives, like I've gone for a run in Mexico with my dad, Vegas, New York, running around Central Park. Like anytime I've ever traveled, even when we went to San Diego, we went for that long run. That was nice. Like, I don't know. There's just something really like human about it. And I understand that some people don't like it, but I really do like it. I really do.
I think people who don't like it haven't given it enough time.
Yeah.
And I think, and Mike's talked about this, like there are people who's like, oh, I hate running. It's so hard. It's like we're running too fast. Mm-hmm. Like people they don't understand the pacing component of it. And when you're just getting in volume and mileage, like it is supposed to be at a very, very easy effort. Like that's kind of the key to beginning running is like, don't run hard. You don't need to run hard.
Like when I started running in university, it was not easy. It was like I wasn't out there just like going for a run. It was like even my mom, I think when she started, it was like 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Or she ran for 5 minutes or something. Yeah. And that was like her start. And my calves would get really tight and I would always get stitches.
Yeah.
And then eventually you just become like good enough at it that it does become like easy.
You get better at breathing, like the mental, like what I like about running and endurance sports And it's I feel like the shift back towards that was always an inevitable one for both of us.
For sure.
And it's the reason I like it. Well, there's it's partially the solitude of it. Like, we spend so much time stimulated by like what's on the TV, what's in our ears, like conversations with other people, Zoom meetings, FaceTime, like it's just like Instagram, it's just constant stimulation. And so when you go out there for like a 10 or 20K run without headphones, and like people are blown away by that. They're like, what do you listen to? I'm like, nothing. I don't. And you're the same way. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, there's something about just being like alone in your head for, an hour and a half. And like the only thing you can do is like, you just become very in tune with like, okay, what's going on in this moment. And even if you're thinking about other things, you're not, like, a lot of the anxiety just kind of melts away. And that's what the clarity you were talking about. But a lot of times I'm not even thinking about other things. I'm literally thinking about like, what are my feet doing? Like, what's my body doing? How's my breathing? Like, you're just constantly checking in on yourself. And when you're really like, when you're doing an endurance effort and it's like, it's a real effort, when you're actually in a race or something, like you find out, you learn a lot about your ability to regulate your thought process and your self-talk and what's going on in your head. Because like there comes a moment, and like when you're doing a run or a bike or a swim, when you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's the battle against the mounting desire to stop.
That's endurance.
That is endurance.
Yeah. And it's I think there's like, that's where I see a lot of carryover into other sports, especially CrossFit. It's like, when it doesn't feel good, when it doesn't feel like it, when you move past the point of like, this is enjoyable, and it becomes very hard, like, what are the stories that you're going to tell yourself when that happens? 'Cause I think a lot of people tell themselves the wrong stories.
Yeah. The difference for me between like running and CrossFit, and what I really love about running, is like, it is more mental, I think, than physical. And what I mean by is you can get closer to your physical limit is defined differently for running, and the mental part of it plays a bigger role. So for example, CrossFit, if I'm doing, let's just take something with like pull-ups and muscle, like something that you're working, like there are isolated muscles or isolated, like very technical movements or bigger movements. Like even if 155-pound snatch, it's like, you can't just try harder. It's like your body can only do so much. You know what I mean? Like eventually your muscles fail.
Well, what I think you're trying to say is like, with CrossFit, you can become so strong and so skilled that in certain instances, like you don't need to rely so much on like mental endurance and mental fortitude.
No,
right?
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is like, okay, let's take regionals Nate. It was like four strict ring muscle ups,
8 handstand push-ups,
and then something with a kettlebell.
12.
Like that's a good CrossFit test.
Yeah.
But you can't just try harder and be better. Like, you're limited by your upper body endurance.
Yeah, like, and
like,
that's the test.
It doesn't hurt. You can't like will yourself to do better on the muscle ups. And there are more CrossFit events like that than there are 333.
Yes.
Whereas 333 is very much like running a 10-kilometer run, where it's like, you can try harder and you will be able to go faster.
Yes.
It's more mental. It's like, you can get closer to that like point of no return, but it's so different. It's not like, oh, if I push my muscle ups too fast, I'm just going to fail and have to stand there. It's like, you push so hard, and like, honestly, in endurance, you can push yourself harder physically than you think you can and sustain it if you're mentally tough.
What's the difference between like a local muscular limitation and a systematic shutdown?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are absolutely workouts in CrossFit events that are similar to running a 10K or an endurance race, but it's not the same. No, it's just not. There's more skill involved, and it's different. And I think there's a purity to endurance racing.
Yeah. Even the big endurance races like Kona.
Oh God. Yeah.
any of the big Ironman events, any marathon, the Leadville 100. Those are the biggest endurance events in the world. And guaranteed there are the majority of that race, you will spend it completely alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. You can't wear headphones, like there's nobody cheering you on. Like you're the best in the world and you're completely alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. I like that.
Another thing I like about CrossFit and running is that, like CrossFit, where you get just a variety of different people all doing the same sport. Like there are different levels, but everyone is essentially doing the same thing. It's the same for running. Like I am not elite. I'm not running 2.5 hour marathons, but I feel the same when I run a marathon. Like the experience is similar. It's obviously different, but similar. And same with somebody who's running a 4.5 hour marathon. Like they know what it's like to train for something, to push their body, to force their body to adapt to that distance, to that duration, to that movement. And it's like, there's that, like everybody who's a runner is a runner. Yeah.
And it's a shared identity.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. It's kind of like CrossFit.
Yeah. It's gritty. Like I like the grittiness of it. Even the short stuff, like the 10Ks, the 10K runs. Sorry, that's just
Hello.
Who's
Klein.
that? That's Megan.
Oh, okay.
She has impeccable timing, yes, as always. Even the shorter stuff, the 10Ks, the half marathons. It's just hard.
I hope everyone listens to this and is like, I'm going to go for a run.
Well, I hope so. Cause like anybody can run. You don't even have to run fast.
No.
Just go run like
do 1 minute on, 1 minute off
for 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's a satisfying feeling.
It is.
Finishing a run.
I would really like eventually to see a standalone running event at the CrossFit Games.
They kind of had one.
I know, but like an actual a road race, like not
okay.
paired
You
with
know
the
what?
swim.
I want to see like a half marathon.
That's what I'm talking
about. So that we can actually see how fast these people are.
Wait, you mean not fast?
Yeah, I do. But okay, for example, they had the reverse triathlon in the Oceanic region.
In Australia.
Or sanctional, whatever. And it was on the runner.
Why don't you say, what's the event?
Okay, so the event was 5K run, 8K bike,
maybe
biker.
4K.
No, it was longer.
8K. All right.
And 2K row.
Yeah.
So it was on all like machines.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the runner, was it an assault runner or an air runner?
Something, it was an air runner or similar.
Yeah, one of the ones that's like has a curved bottom. And those are technically, like whenever I've been on them, you run at a slower pace than you do on the road.
Yeah, most of the time they say if the workout is programmed like a 500-meter run
on the road,
and then it should be a 400, or no, if it's a 400-meter run, then it should be a 300-meter run.
Yeah, it's like 25% slower on a runner.
Yes.
And anytime I've been on a rower, they are definitely harder.
A runner.
Like they engage more of your posterior chain. Mm-hmm. Like it's not, it's just different. You're moving, your core seems to be engaged more. And I don't know what the heck was up here, but like there were girls running sub 21 5Ks on the runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and then the announcers are like, oh, they're really cooking like sub 21 for a 5K. And it's like, I guarantee you that those people are not running sub, there was a dude who's like 200 pounds who ran like 18 something. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Not that many runners can run sub 20.
Yeah.
Who aren't runners, especially. And
then
who are 200 pounds. Like,
treadmill.
Come
there's
on.
Something wrong with those treadmills.
So I would like to see like maybe an actual 5K, but like measured properly.
Yeah.
Like even when I did Murph in 2015, that was not a mile.
No.
I think I ran it in like 7 something, and I was like, or
No,
6.
you were like 6 something.
Like, that's BS.
Yeah.
I can barely run sub 6 without a vest, a standalone workout.
That
is, I'm sorry, CrossFit Games, but like whatever they're using to measure their stuff, it's wrong.
Well, they don't measure. They find a loop that's like close to a mile, and they're like, yeah, that's the loop we're gonna use.
Well, that shouldn't be the case.
Unless
they're just trying to make their athletes look good.
I know. In 2018 there was a 5K programmed at Granite Games, and I ran it, and I came in second place. And my chip time was 18 minutes and 48 seconds. And I was like, that was not a 5K.
Yeah, no chance.
I mean, I'm like...
That's sub 4 minute.
Yeah.
No chance. I mean, there's maybe a chance, but like it's highly, highly unlikely.
No,
because you weren't even running that much back then.
I mean, I was fat. Like I've always been good at running, especially like, but not that good at running. Like I think back then, if somebody's like, what 5K could you run right now? 21 minutes and some change. That would be like a pretty...
Yeah. I've been running a lot, and I'm like, and even I've been running like 1K intervals, and like holding sub 4 for 1 kilometer is not easy.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. So to put 5 of those together, man, that would be tough. But I mean, like, I'm sorry. I you know what? I'm going to say it. There's no way. Sub 25K, no chance on a runner. Something was up there. The runner's different, the calibration, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is I would love to see like an actual like 10K run. Like, but actually it'd be 10K. Like see it on a Garmin.
Yeah.
Not in a vest, not in the desert, just like...
I bet you this year, so Whoop is they're a sponsor for the CrossFit Games this year. And I bet you that they are going to have Whoops on all of the athletes for the entire weekend. And like somehow, like, how when there's something on your phone, you can record a workout and it shows you like your Whoop strain during the workout. I guarantee you they incorporate that into the game somehow this year. Everybody's day, like at the start of every day, it's going to have like the athlete's name and then like what their like strain level is, or like what their recovery level or something. They're going to incorporate Whoop into the games in that way. They're just going to make people wear them.
Yeah, maybe.
Which like phenomenal idea for advertising. In fact, if they don't do that, they've really missed an opportunity.
So what are they going to do when somebody who's like wakes up and it's like 10% and then they win the day? How do they explain that?
I don't know. I'm really interested in that.
That wouldn't be great marketing.
I don't think it matters what it says. I think it matters that they're all wearing them and it's being displayed.
I guess I'm just a critical thinker.
Yeah, that's where you're different than a lot of people. But, yeah, so that's kind of those are endurance endeavors for the year, or for the next, 6 months, I guess. And then who knows? I have this thing where I think the first marathon that I run is going to be in an Ironman. That's just like bouncing around in my head. So we'll see if that actually happens. Someone asked me on the Q&A the other day if I was going to do an Ironman. And I was like, I mean, it is kind of inevitable, right? That's the direction we're going.
Yeah. I do wonder about the time commitment for training for an Ironman.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of training if you want to be in good shape and ready for it.
We'll see.
But
we'll start with the Olympic and go from there. But yeah, so we'll make sure that the link to Alex's fundraising is in the show notes. So again, if you're inclined to donate, that would mean so much to me. I see everyone's name come through, and I like, even just every person who liked my post just meant the world to me to have the support. And it's not that it's a marathon. It's just like nice to feel supported.
And putting something out there, like, it's just really good. It's really great to have that support. So, I'm sure everyone listening they've already donated. I just haven't, the notification's slow.
Yeah. if you want to support me, you can't. So go support Alex instead.
If you want to support Meredith, drive to Banff and cheer her on for the last couple kilometers because she's gonna need it.
It's a good I'm gonna be trotting at that point. It's a good reason to go to Banff. It's a great course. You can cheer me into the finish and then
or sign up yourself and race her.
Actually though, the registration is still open. It's in the mountains but not in the mountains. So the course is actually quite flat. I really enjoyed it back in 2018. So, I mean, like, parts of it.
Yeah.
I think about that time fondly now. So I must have forgotten about how painful it was.
Yeah. Your body forgets pain unless it's the pain that you suffered in a marathon. Your body never forgets that.
Yeah. Or marathon row.
Yeah.
That's going to stick with me. Yeah. So thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys again soon.